Hello, you are so welcome to this podcast in English, number 18. I'm recording this on the 7th of May in 2020. And today we're going to talk a little bit about, housekeeping stuff. We are still in the middle of the pandemic, of course, but things are clearing up a bit when it comes to shipping. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I'm getting organized in a very specific way around my current projects, and also a little bit about things that inspire me today. So it's not going to be a huge podcast, but still, it's been a month, so I wanted to check in and tell you a little bit about what I'm up to. So if this is your first time on my channel, I'm going to introduce myself, and if you are coming back, you're so welcome. And in this case, you already know that I'm Annette Petterby. I'm an independent crochet and sometimes knitting designer and teacher. Right now, it's very hard to teach in person, so I'm figuring out ways of teaching remotely. But you can still find on this very YouTube channel quite a few now tutorials in video format. I have a website where I sell yarns and patterns by myself and by other independent designers. Crochet patterns and knitting patterns, but the emphasis is on crochet. I also edit a monthly newsletter. The newsletter comes out a little bit more often. I'm not inundating your inbox, but at least once a month you have a crochet tutorial included in the newsletter, and you can subscribe by following the link, which is right here below the video. And you will also find the links to my website, to my blog in English. And you can, of course, also follow me on Facebook or Instagram. And here on YouTube, if you want to, please subscribe to my channel. So, as you may know, I am living in France. I'm living just outside the beautiful city of Lyon, in an area which is somewhere between really rural and the suburbs. And today, 7th of May, France is still in lockdown, and we're supposed to start easing out of this lockdown due to the coronavirus pandemic on Monday, May 11th. So this will hopefully mean that we will be able to leave our homes without a paper or a document on our phone indicating why we are leaving our homes. And I think that's more or less what's going to change for me. I hope to be able to take a walk in the woods nearby. They're very close by, but they're a bit further than authorized, just for taking a breath of fresh air. So there are no certainties yet about what's going to happen. The new measures are announced as I record this, so I will have a look at that afterwards. But things are evolving in a very positive way when it comes to shipping. So as from this week, international shipping is now available again on my website. Of course, this has not been a problem when it comes to the patterns, but I also sell yarns, as you know, and I just wanted to take advantage of this video to show you a newcomer in my yarn range. Well, my yarn range, yes, my selection of yarns. So this is the color is not really turning out as it is on the screen. It looks a little more a bluish teal. It's a greenish teal with a bit of gray. And as you can see, it's a nuanced yarn. It's really, really pretty. So this is a yarn from the German brand Schoppelwolle. It's called Wool Finest, and it's a 100 gram skein of yarn. and so you can find it on my website now. And as I said, shipping is available for most parts of the world. I'm trying to keep up with the list of countries, and I had to uncheck a lot of countries in Latin America. I also had to uncheck Cyprus in the possible shipping destinations, but well, for Europe and North America, it should be good, even if, of course, there are delays. Also, I am receiving again international deliveries, so that's a very good thing, because I'm going to be able to offer lots of nice new and not so new yarns. Okay, organization. I'm a messy person obsessed with organizational tools. I have talked about this a little bit before on the podcast. And I think it's really because I'm not a naturally organized person that I'm so interested in how I can organize my work and my works in progress. So this is a strange year for all of us, but it's also, when I look back a few months, it's also a year when I think I finally have found interesting concepts that make it possible for me not to fight against my natural messiness, but understand how to handle it, and embracing really the way I work. I was talking a bit earlier this year about this idea of having systems instead of goals, and for now I must say it's working quite fine. I've done lots of progress on a lot of projects that were lagging behind, and that was, of course, based on a book I read. And now I read a new book. Well, it's not new, but it's new to me. It's called Messy by Tim Harford. Harford? Yes, I think it's Harford. It's a British author. And the sections that were most interesting to me were in the beginning chapters of the book, where Tim Harford discusses creativeness and messiness, and that really hit home. And he also explained that very productive people are often working on a lot of different things at the same time. And so I realized it's okay to be weird this way, and not being able to concentrate on only one thing for all the time, but working on lots of different things. And of course, the problem with that is that you have to remember to work on these different things you're working on, if you can follow my train of thought here. And this has been a problem for me many times. So how do you organize your yarny projects? I am working with yarn both in crochet and knitting. I tend to have at least one project in each technique on the go at any given time. But sometimes I add one, and sometimes I forget about something I was working on that was interesting. And why do I forget about it? Well, I realized that I have the organizational skills of a very small child. So I need kindergarten organization of my stuff. And I think I found a way to organize it that works. So I have a lot of boxes in my office where I'm filming this because of lockdown and pandemic and the house being full of my family. And the boxes need to either be transparent so I can see what's in it, or have big label with lots of with large large letters on it. Sorry, I'm a bit rusty. It's been a month. So I bought this for my works in project. So these are see-through boxes, no fancy project bags here. I have millions and I forget about them everywhere in the house. This is clunky. It's, well, I still need my project bags because I don't want to go anywhere with my project, which is not in the cards right now. But if it would happen, I will need to transfer the contents into a bag, of course. But here at home, this works great. So I have a couple. It's not pretty, but it's useful. So right now I have 2 active projects. So these are on the floor. And when I have some time to work with crocheting or knitting, I have a look at my box stack. And here I can see, oh, the crochet, there's a knitting project and a crochet project. The crochet project is on top. That means that was the last one I worked on. So I take the box below and I work on my knitting project for a while. And then I put that one down and it's on the top. And I know that was the last one I worked on. And actually this has worked quite well for a couple of weeks now, which is a very long time for an organizational system to be working in my house. So that's pretty great. And since we are talking about this, I am going to do something I'm not doing very often. It's to show you my works in progress. So here's what we have in the crochet box, because I think most of those of you who are following me here are most interested in crochet. Now I should have put in a locking stitch marker here, but I didn't, so I'm just going to pull out the loop to see what I'm working on. So it's a triangular shawl. It's a kind of shallow triangle, and it's worked in a lovely yarn that I've added quite recently to my selection in my shop. It's the balayage yarn. So this is from a German company, but the contents of the yarn are from South America. And it's 80% baby alpaca and 20% extra fine merino, so it's soft. And this is actually the undyed color. This is the yarn on which all the other colors are dyed. So you can see that it's slightly, I'm going to show you this in the best way. I think this is too close. Well, you have to believe me when I'm saying this, that this is a slightly heathered light gray yarn, because part of the alpaca that's in the yarn comes from light gray alpacas. There are several natural colors of alpacas, and one of them is light gray. So that's the organization. Clear see-through boxes, a stack, taking the one that's under, so I keep rotating them. And it's worked for 2 weeks, so perhaps it's going to work for some time more. I wanted to talk a little bit about my inspiration for this project. As you may or may not know, if you're a newsletter subscriber, you know that I'm currently running a theme on in my crochet tutorials, more or less under the topic of where do I insert my hook. So I did a first tutorial, which is not here on the YouTube channel. I'm going to link to it in the show notes below. In this tutorial, I showed exactly where you insert your hook if nothing is indicated in the pattern. And now I have started to explore working under one loop only in double crochet, which is the main stitch, the most used stitch in this shawl, especially in the top part, and the lighting is not super good. I'm sorry about that, but we're doing the best we can right now here. So this is double crochet in the front loop only, worked on both sides of the fabric, and as you can see, you have these slight ridges moving horizontally over the fabric due to the fact that you leave the back loop unworked when you work on the back side of the fabric, because this is hard to say, that it's really hard to say here that there is any right or wrong side. Okay, I'm trying to move it around a bit so you can see. And here now I think you can see the texture of the fabric. So there are more details about this in the video specifically about on this topic, of course, but I feel this is a way to use good old double crochet, US terms, and make something very refined and elegant just by working through one of the loops. The stitch pattern is quite an easy one, but I'm doing the same thing there. I'm working over one loop only, and I think you can see the ridges that move over the fabric here, and it's quite a simple way to vary a stitch pattern and to make it more interesting, adding texture to it. I'm trying not to complicate this too much. This is the theme of the design. It's really working through one loop only. And also, of course, I wanted to test this shallow triangle form that I think works quite nicely. And the yarn is super soft. It's just a dream to work with, and I'm really looking forward to wearing it. I think it will be mostly, I think I will have to wait until autumn, because alpaca and merino is warm, and we are now having temperatures that I'd say are temperatures of Swedish summer and French spring, so around 25 centigrades per day. So alpaca is a bit warm, except perhaps early in the morning. But it's yeah, it's a really nice project coming along quite nicely, thanks to my fantastic organization. So I'm working this on a 4mm hook to give the yarn some room, and I'm really looking forward to finish this. I hope it won't be very long. So, oops, boxes are noisy. So, as I said, the inspiration for this came from working on techniques for my crochet tutorial. And now I'm going to show you something that I almost never show people, because I know when I show this, you will not see what I see. This is the swatch I made when preparing. Oh, it's a bit too light. This is the swatch I made when preparing the latest crochet tutorial for the newsletter about working double crochet through one loop only. So as you can see in the video on this channel, through one loop only, I work through the front loop, I work through the back loop, and I work through something that I call the bonus loop. So that's another loop in the double crochet stitch. It's very interesting to explore. So I almost never, because now I'm showing it to you, show these swatches to anyone. But this is the basis for both my teaching and my design work. It's a swatch. This is leftover merino wool. I have loads and loads of this from the time period when I bought yarn on cones and balled it up myself. And as anyone who has worked with conditioning yarns knows, you have lots of leftovers and funny ends of cones or small skeins or too large skeins or anything. So this looks like absolutely nothing, and it is nothing, but this is where I play around with different stitch patterns. So it's too light. It's a pity. I think there's a bit too much contrast in here, and this one, it was not really made to be shown on a video, but perhaps you can see that there are lots of different textures. Some of them are not very interesting. I just tried them out. Here I did a kind of checkerboard pattern working through front and back loops, but I decided that this was not, I thought it was too much work for too little effect. But if you want to play around as well, why not try to doing checkerboards by working through the back loop and the front loop. This is a swatch full of ideas, because I've come to realize that my inspiration comes very, very often from the crochet technique itself. So playing around like this with nothing at stake except learning and having fun is essential to my design work and to the, I'd say, the kind of, let's not be pompous here, the research, the way I work crochet stitches over and over again to really understand how they work, so I can teach people to understand why their crochet fabric turns out or doesn't turn out as they want it to. So here you see a very weird long strip of a not so interesting crochet, and I see at least 3 different design ideas in here. One pretty novel. I will not say that I am the only one to have worked double crochet like this, with this ridge on the fabric, but I think it's an interesting option, and I haven't heard about it, so I don't think it's very commonly used. So inspiration, not photos, not dreams, not paintings, not fashion, but weird swatches with lots of funny crochet techniques. And also, of course, learning about stuff via other people, using YouTube, using books, using other materials, and trying out what they have found and putting my own twist on it. And this is also something that drives my inspiration. And right now, I just wanted to show you this heavy and wonderful book. So this is the book Making Moss by Cecilia Campuchiano. I hope I don't butcher her name too much. So this, yes, it's a knitting book, but this topic about malls, a malled yarn is a yarn containing more than one color, and she is making malls, which means that she works with several, well, at least 2 yarns held together to create new colors. And yes, it's a knitting book, and my swatch that I'm going to show you is also knitted, but this is one area when the topic is directly transferable from knitting to crochet, because now we are talking about the yarn, not about the technique, not about a result we want to achieve, a specific look, but about the yarn. And I realized when I read through this book that there is a very common way of making marls, so by working different colored yarns together, that I've seen a lot of lately, and it's working one strand of lace weight mohair, a mohair blend generally. My mohair blend is mohair and silk, but there are also mohair blends with mohair and wool, and mohair and synthetic fibers. And working two yarns together to try out a lot and a lot of different combinations. So this is my first mold swatch. I had meant to do this for a long time, and in her book Cecilia does not work long swatches like this. She works with small mini swatches that she can move around. It's a very interesting concept as well. I wanted to have them all together. So the first four here, this is the order in which I work them. So this is knitting, but you can be crochet as well. Just the fabric will be different, but the color play will be, if not identical, at least very similar. So these four are all with yellow mohair, and it's only the merino color that's shifting. So here is the daffodil color, it's a very bright yellow. This one is a bit apricot, it's called apricot. This one is called tangerine. And then I wanted to see how it played out with a hot pink merino color. So since the mohair is so lofty and has this very important halo, actually you have a real mix of colors because the mohair fibers lie in front of the merino. So you see the merino color through the mohair fiber. So if you try other types of combinations of yarns, it might be a bit different, but this one is still very interesting as an example, I think. Okay, so since I once went with yellow first, but I ended with some yellow and pink mix, then I took pink. I haven't woven in the ends, so that is to be able to see exactly the combinations I've used. So then I switched. This is the pink. Oh, can't see it really. The pink mohair. Worked on light pink. Worked on hot pink, very close to the same, very close to the mohair color. Worked on the fuchsia merino, and then on a dark color that I call damson, I think, on the website. You can see how the contrast is different between, depending on if, and the effect is very different, depending on if the color of the mohair is close to the merino or more or farther from the merino color. And I'm not saying that I can like some of these combinations better than others, but they are all interesting, I think. Here we are moving to a dark, more burgundy colored mohair. So this is the light pink mohair, and this is the darker one. And these two are made with the same merino color. So you can see the difference here. And then I go back over the pink ones, but with the darker mohair, so you can see how it plays out. Pretty funny, pretty interesting. And then I switched completely and I used blues. So this is a blue that's quite close to the mohair one, then a lighter one, an even lighter, and then I moved to the grays. So the mohair gray I have is a silvery gray, so I worked it on very dark charcoal, on a more medium gray, or a very light gray. And this is funny because it's still blue mohair, but the color of the merino X is actually teal. And if you look at them together, I haven't pulled them out. Sorry, my webcam has lots of troubles to focus. They're quite different. They're not at all in the same kind of blue or greenish blue, but together they are great, I think. And then I mixed the blue with some pink, with some damson, and then I tried out, I have one color of red mohair, so I tried it out with two different red merinos. I think both work. And I ended with still with red mohair, but the damson merino. So now this kind of yarn snake is normally hanging on the wall here beside me, and I think it's pretty interesting. This is just the same as the other one, but I hope the colors are more enjoyable in this one, because this one is not a technique swatch, it's a color swatch. I didn't weave in the ends because, as I said, I want to be able to check exactly which color of each of the yarns I used. And this is also a lot of fun, and it's also a source for inspiration, for color combinations, and I'm going to dip into this quite often, I think, just to see what. And since it's a long swatch, I can fold it. I can check to see how, for example, how would yellow merino and mohair work with hot pink merino and mohair. Well, it could work, couldn't it? You just have to fold over the swatch to see. So some people might think this is being a bit wasteful. To me, this is just this is more interesting than Netflix, to me personally. So why not go make some marls? I'm going to continue, that's for sure. Well, I think I have blathered on quite enough now, and I thought this was going to be like a 50-minute video, and I have been talking about organization and inspiration for more than 30 minutes now. I hope you got something out of it, perhaps some ideas for organizing or finding inspiration of your own. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. If you put a little thumbs up to it, other people will be able to find it, and if you click the little bell, you will be notified every time I put up a new video, be it a tutorial video or a podcast video like this one. I hope you all stay safe, that you take care of yourself and of the other people around you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.